8.6 cars. So in this section, we're going to learn about purchasing a car, and we will calculate monthly payment amounts. We will look at finding the difference between investing in purchasing a new car versus a used car. We also have some annual fuel expenses, the cost of gasoline, just so that you make a really good sound decision about the investment you're going to make. And then we'll also mention some important information such as auto insurance, advantages of and disadvantages of leasing a vehicle. So notice the title on here says Loan Payment Formula for Fixed Installment Loans. So this is a regular payment amount, and it says required to repay a loan. And P is the amount of dollars that you borrowed. N is the number of times per year, compoundings. T is years, and the annual interest rate R. So this is the formula we're going to use to calculate the monthly payment amount on a vehicle. But it's not just for a vehicle, it's for a variety of types of loans. Remember, it's a fixed installment loan. So anytime you have a fixed installment, this is how you find your monthly payment amount. Suppose that you decide to buy a new car for $20,000. You're going to borrow $20,000 for that new car. You can select one of the following loans, each requiring regular monthly payments. All right, so installment loan A says that is for a 3-year loan at 7%. Installment B is a 5-year loan at 9%. And part A says find the monthly payments and the total interest for loan A. Find the monthly payments and the total interest for loan B, then compare the monthly payments and the total interest for the two loans. So just looking, we have for loan A, your principal is going to be the $20,000 that you'll borrow for the vehicle. You have time is 3 years. And you have your interest rate of 7%. And I automatically change that into decimal without even thinking about it. Then we also have our loan B. Remember, this is also a principal of $20,000. That's how much you're borrowing. And this is a 5-year loan. And the interest rate is 9%, 0.09. So on the next page, it's actually going to show us step by step the calculations for this. So this is just an example. So part A said to determine the monthly payment amount and total interest for loan A. So we're using that payment formula. Given the principal is $20,000, the interest rate is 7%. And remember, it was compounded. It's a monthly payment. So monthly payment means you're paying 12 times a year. So N is equal to 12. That's my N, 12. And then again, it's for 3 years. So when they do the calculations, they're coming out with approximately $618 for the monthly payment. All right, so monthly payment is approximately $618. That's the first part they wanted, was the monthly payment. Then it says find the total interest. Now, when you're looking at the total interest, let me write this down here. You need to take the monthly payment times, and they came up with this 36 by taking monthly payments. You have 12 monthly payments a year times the number of years, which is 3, and that'll give you the 36. So that's the total number of payments you would make for the loan. So that's where the 36 came from. And then you have to make sure and subtract how much the original loan is. And once you do that, you're going to come out with a balance of $2,248 for the total interest. So it says the total interest paid over 3 years is approximately $2,248. Let's take a look at the second option. So the monthly payment is still $20,000 for the vehicle. We have an interest rate of 9%. Still doing monthly payments, so N is equal to 12. And this time we have 5 years. Time is 5 years. So when we do this calculation, they're coming up with approximately $415 for the monthly payment amount. Once again, Part B is asking us for the total interest for Loan B. To find the total interest, you're going to take your monthly payment amount times the total number of payments you're making. The reason we have 60 is because we're paying once a month for 5 years. So 12 times 5 will give you 60 payments in total to make. After you take the monthly payment times the number of payments you're making, you have to subtract the loan amount, the $20,000. So when you do this, you're ending up with about $4,900 in total interest. So the total interest to be paid over 5 years is approximately $4,900. In Part C for this problem, it says for you to compare the monthly payments and the total interest for the two. So the 3-year loan at 7% has a monthly payment of $618, and the total interest is $2,248. Whereas on the second option, 5 years at 9%, the monthly payment is $415, and you pay back a total interest of $4,900. So notice the longer the amount of the payback period on there and the higher interest, you're going to accrue more interest on there, and you'll end up paying more back for borrowing the $20,000. Suppose that you borrow $17,000 for 5 years at 7% toward the purchase of a car. Find the monthly payments and the total interest for the loan. On the monthly payment, it says do not round until the final answer, then round to the nearest dollar. So on the very end. And as far as the total interest for the loan, it says use the answer from Part A to find this answer and round to the nearest dollar. So let's look at the first part here. The information we have is $17,000. There's the amount that you're borrowing. 7% is R. 0.07, 7/100. And then, of course, we have a monthly payment amount on there. And we know that that is going to be N equals 12 since we're looking for monthly payment. It's 12 times a year. And it says we're going to pay back in 5 years. So there's your time. So for the first part, and you'll see this a lot, they'll say MPA, that is your monthly payment amount. All right, so that's just considered monthly payment out. So the monthly payment amount is going to be set up as your principal, the $17,000 times 0.07 divided by 12. That's your numerator. And this is all divided by 1 minus, open parentheses, 1 plus, same fraction, 0.07 over 12, close the parentheses, raised to the negative 12 times 5. So remember, N is 12 and T is 5. All right, then you're going to place this in your calculator. It will look exactly the way I just wrote it out. You'll come out with 336 decimal 6203. Remember it said to round to the nearest dollar. So this is $337 for the monthly payment amount. And I'll put that in the box up here. All right. The second item that we need to find is the total interest. We want to know how much interest we're going to pay back for borrowing the $17,000. What we'll do is take the monthly payment amount, $337. We're going to multiply it times 12 times a year for 5 years. Remember, that's the same thing as 60. We're going to get our answer, and we're going to subtract the amount we borrowed, the $17,000. And if you do this, you will find the total interest is $3,220. Remember, put this in your calculator twice, clear that calculator out, put it back in there, and see if you get the same answer. Don't just do it one time. Make sure you're correct. All right, so for the time that you're paying back the loan for 5 years, over the 5 years, you end up paying back an extra $3,220, which all goes towards interest. Suppose that you are thinking about buying a car and have narrowed down your choices to 2 options. You have a new car option, and the new car costs $28,000 and can be financed with 3-year loan at 6.67%. The used car option is a 3-year-old model of the same car, and it's going to cost you $18,000, and it can be financed for 4 years, and the interest rate is 5.92%. So it says, what is the difference in the monthly payments between financing the new car and financing the used car? So again, we need to go through and find out all the information. So if I do new car over here, we know that P is 28,000 and it's financed for 3 years. T is 3. And the interest rate is going to be 0.0667 for the interest rate. And then we use that monthly payment amount or payment formula. It's the same formula that we saw earlier. This is the same thing as your monthly payment amount. So this is principal is $28,000 times your interest rate and divide by 12. Remember, it's always going to be 12 at this time because we're making 12 monthly payments a year. Divided by 1 minus 1 plus, same fraction, raised to the negative nt, so negative 12 times years, which is 3. So when we calculate this, it looks like we're coming out with about 860 decimal 3403. It says round to the nearest dollar as needed. So about $860 a month. Let's put per month on here. That way you know this is my monthly payment. Now we're going to go grab the used car information and calculate the monthly payment amount. So the used car option, let's see. We have P is $18,000. It's to be financed for 4 years. T is 4 at an interest rate of 0.0592. So 0.0592 for the interest rate. So let's write out this formula. We have $18,000 for P. In parentheses, we have our interest rate divided by 12 for 12 monthly payments, divided by 1 minus, parentheses 1 plus, same fraction, raised to the negative 12 times 4. And again, when we place this in our calculator, we're approximating to, let's see, 422 decimal point 0706, which is rounding to $422 per month. So now that we know the monthly payment amount for each option, it says, what is the difference in the monthly payments between financing a new car and financing the used car? So now we're going to take the $860 and we will subtract the $422 so that we can find the difference of the two monthly payments. And we're ending up with $438. And remember, this is per month. So the difference in the monthly payment amount is going to be $438. Suppose that you decide to buy a car for $63,000, including taxes and license fees. You saved $12,000 for a down payment. The dealer is offering you a choice between two incentives. Incentive A is $6,000 off the price of the car, followed by a 4-year loan at 6.97%. Incentive B does not have a cash rebate, but provides free financing, no interest, over 4 years. This is, what is the difference in monthly payment amounts between the two offers? That's your first question. The second question is, which incentive is the better deal? So we clearly need to go in and find the monthly payment for each one of these. So let me put incentive A over here on the left-hand side. And one of the first things we need to do is write down what we have. So we have the $63,000. This is the price of the car. There is a $12,000 down payment. Incentive A has $6,000 off. And it is for 4 years. So T is equal to 4. And we have an interest rate of 6.97. So this is 0.0697. All right, so the one thing we need to find whenever you're finding a monthly payment, we need to know the principal. How much will our loan be? So we're going to call that P. So what we do know is that we have the price of the vehicle, $63,000. You are going to put a down payment of $12,000. So we're going to subtract $12,000. And the dealership is giving you $6,000 off the price of the car. So we're going to subtract another $6,000 here. And that is going to give us a total loan amount of $45,000. All right, so we have our P, we have T, we have R. We're doing monthly payment amounts. So N is going to be 12 for monthly payments. And we're going to go find our payment amount using the payment formula. So we have the P times R divided by 12 for the 12 monthly payments. This is our numerator. Then we have our denominator, which is 1 minus parentheses 1 plus, and same fraction, close parentheses, raised to the, remember, negative nt, so negative 12 times 4. Right, this is a parentheses right here. Okay, so that's what it looks like, and that is what it should look like when you place it in your calculator. All right, so when we put this in our calculator, we are going to get, it looks like $1,076.95. And it does say to round to the nearest dollar. So we're going to round that to the nearest dollar. And that'll be $1,077. And that would be the monthly payment. All right, let's see. Goodness. And then the next thing we're going to take a look at is the part B. Let me go put incentive B over here. Incentive B. So we know we still have the same price of the car, $63,000, does not have a cash rebate. All right, so we know that P is going to be the price of the car minus your down payment. Remember, we are still doing this down payment. So $63,000 minus $12,000, and that will give us $51,000. All right, so that is our P. We have the 0% financing, right? No interest. I'm just writing that down, and again, we have time is 4 years. And we are still making the monthly payments. So N is 12 times a year. So this one is actually a little straightforward. If you take your principal amount, because there is no interest being charged, you're going to divide it by how many payments you make over the 4 years. So we know that's going to be 12 months times 4 years, or the same thing as 51,000 divided by 48. And when we cut this answer, we're getting $1,062.50. All right, rounding that to the nearest dollar would be $1,063. And that would be our monthly payment. All right, so the first part where it said to what is the difference? What is the difference in monthly payments between the two offers? So we're going to go find the difference now. We'll take the price of each one. We'll do this one here. This is $1,077. We'll bring this one over here, subtracting 1,063. And we get $14. So incentive A is costing you $14 more. So $14 is the difference, but that $14 is that incentive A is more, $14 more a month. All right, so when it's asking you for part B, which incentive is the better deal, we're going to say incentive B. Incentive B is the better deal. And if we ask why, it's because you save $14 a month. All right, $14 a month, and that's for 4 years by choosing incentive B. Sometimes buying a vehicle, whether it's new or used, is not an option. we do have other options such as leasing the vehicle. So basically, leasing a vehicle, you pay a specified amount of money for so much amount of time in order so that you can keep that car and use it. Now, this is considered a long-term rental agreement when you're leasing. We have two types of leasing contracts. We have a closed-end lease. This one is when you make a fixed payment estimated on your usage of the vehicle. At the end of the lease, you return the car and you pay for any mileage in excess of what was agreed upon on the estimate. Closed-end lease. The next one is an open-end lease. This one's a little different. It says each month you make a fixed payment based on the car's residual value. So the residual value is when you're getting your lease, they're going to estimate the resale value of your car at the end of the lease. So let's say you're leasing your vehicle for 2 years. They're estimating on what the resale value will be in 2 years. And according to that resale value in 2 years, they're going to determine what your monthly payment will be. All right, because it does say it's determined by the dealer. So at the end of 2 years, the lease is finished, you return the car, and it says you make payments based on the appraised value at that time. So what they're looking at is the actual appraisal value of the car when you return it. And they're going to compare it to the residual value that you've been making payments for. And it says if the appraised value is less than the residual, you pay all or portion of that difference. If the appraised value is greater than or equal to the residual value, then you owe nothing, and you may even receive a refund. So leasing a car is a viable option, especially nowadays if you cannot afford a new car or a used car. The leasing option gives you normally a lower payment, a monthly payment. Let's review some advantages and disadvantages of leasing. So leasing requires only a small down payment, if any at all. Sometimes the lease payments, and normally they are, lower than a loan payment would be for a car of the same make and model. It says when the lease ends, you return the car to the dealer and you don't have to worry about selling it. That's the advantages. The disadvantages, it says when the lease ends, you don't own a car. All right. And then sometimes there's some mileage limitations. So if you exceed the mile limitations, there's a charge. Sometimes it's a considerable one that you have to pay at the end of your lease. There's also some mileage penalties and other costs at the end of the lease that are taken into consideration. So you have to be very careful, make sure you read the fine lines, make sure there's not any hidden costs, and ask a lot of questions when you're doing your lease. And it says, while leasing the car, you are responsible for keeping it in perfect condition. If not, you're liable for any damage to that car. Leasing does not cover maintenance, so you will have to pay for the maintenance on the vehicle. And it says if you decide you want to end the lease early, there are some penalties. So once again, leasing can be a good option. It seems like in this list, there's more disadvantages than advantages. But you have to remember, you have to think of your lifestyle and what suits you. The importance of auto insurance. So if you own a car or you're leasing a car, you need to have auto insurance. All right. And this auto insurance is basically a protection against any kind of loss that may happen, of course, due to an unexpected event. So one of the things that is required from nearly every state is that we have to have at least liability coverage. So the liability coverage will include bodily injury liability. Okay, this covers the cost of lawsuits if someone is injured or killed in the accident in which you are at fault. Property damage liability. All right, that covers damage to other cars and property from a negligent operation of your vehicle. All right, so this is why we have liability coverage. Now, if you do have a car loan or a lease agreement, you have to get the collision and comprehensive coverage. All right, collision coverage pays for the damage or loss of your car if you're in an accident. And comprehensive coverage protects your car from perils such as fire, theft, falling objects, hailstorms, collision with an animal. So insurance is really important to have. It's safer for you and it's safer for those around us on the road. So drive safely. This table shows the annual cost of owning and operating a car in 2012. So you can see it has the type of car, small sedan, medium sedan, minivan, large sedan, SUV, four-wheel drive. And it has the cost of per mile and it says cost per year. So you can see the difference between the small sedan costs 44.9 cents per mile, and the cost per year for using it, the operating, is $6,735. Whereas if you look at an SUV, a four-wheel drive one, you're paying 75.7 cents per mile, and it costs approximately $11,360. And that was in 2012. So regardless of the type of vehicle you have, this formula here, the cost of gasoline will be calculated the same way. So we have the annual fuel expense, which is equal to the annual miles driven. How many miles did you drive per year? Divided by the miles per gallon and multiply it by the price per gallon.